Buenos días, mi gente de Rochester, y bienvenido a su hora informativa. Mi nombre es Ida Pérez y para mí es un verdadero placer poder estar con ustedes en esta mañana. Su hora informativa es un programa que les trae información importante que esperamos que los inspire a una mejor calidad de vida para usted y su familia. Cubrimos información sobre los campos de salud, educación, empleo, vivienda y muchos otros temas más que nos afectan como persona y como pueblo. Su hora informativa está aquí todos los sábados de 10 a 11 de la mañana y nos alegramos muchísimo de que estén aquí en el día de hoy con nosotros. I was just saying that I'm really pleased, right, that we have our listeners today listening to us. Today's Saturday. We air this show every Saturday from 10 to 11. And so I'm just glad for those folks that are listening today. And today I have a special guest. I have the chief of the fire department.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So tell us who you are. Tell us where you come from and how long have you been here in Rochester?
Well, I'll start off this way. Yo me llamo Esteban.
Aha!
¿Qué tal?
Hello.
um, that's all I have.
And that's good enough. Hey, you you
I
you
used
tried. You
I
tried.
used to be much more fluent in Spanish
Mhm.
in high school,
Okay.
and my Italian background helped
Yeah,
me out
yes, of course.
tremendously.
Yes, yes, yes.
Two beautiful people and
Yep.
beautiful
Mhm.
languages.
Yes, yes.
Um, but my name is Stefano Napolitano.
Mhm. Mhm.
I am the chief of the department of the City of Rochester Fire Department.
Okay.
I just started my 6th month um, here in Rochester as the fire chief.
Oh, so you're brand
I'm
spanking brand
I'm
new.
still a little bit shiny. It has been such an amazing journey, such a blessing
Mhm.
to serve the city of Rochester and Mayor Evans,
Mhm.
along with the 509
Mm.
unbelievably talented
Yes.
men and women
Yes.
that make up the Rochester Fire Department,
Yeah.
and most importantly, to serve the citizens of this community.
Mhm.
It has been, it is an honor and a privilege that I don't take lightly.
Yeah.
I work tirelessly every day along with my staff to ensure that we're providing the best service available.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a little
Yeah.
bit of who I am.
Now, were you born and raised here in Rochester, or did you come to Rochester?
No,
Okay.
so my story is kind of a little
Yeah,
convoluted.
tell us about
I
that.
was made in Italy
Okay.
and born in the United States 9 months later.
Okay. Okay.
My mom met my dad just before my dad came over to this
Mhm.
country at a little market,
Mhm.
and they got married on the 25th day. And my dad left the following day
Oh.
to come to the United
Yeah.
States. And then 9 months later, my mom came over,
Mhm.
and then here I came.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was born in Corona, Queens,
Okay. Yeah.
and lived there till I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Mhm.
And we moved up. My father did not like what he saw in New York City. That
Mhm.
in that time,
Yeah. Yep.
the late '60s, a
Mhm.
lot of
Mhm.
turmoil.
Yeah.
He heard about a little Italian community up in upstate New York, named villages called Frankfurt,
Okay.
and that's where I went to school. Friends.
Yeah.
We had a couple small, some relatives there,
Mhm.
and so I stayed there till I married a Herkimer girl, and moved to the village of Herkimer, about eight
Mhm.
miles away,
Mhm.
and spent majority of my adult life there,
Okay.
and just moved to Rochester here. Love the city, love the county, love the food, the drink, the cosmopolitan
Yeah.
lifestyle,
Yeah.
love the entertainment, love the culture, love the
Nice.
people. Uh, we are on overload.
Yeah.
My wife and I. My daughter and son-in-law and my two grandkids were just here this weekend for the St.
Mhm.
Patrick's Day parade,
Yeah.
and we went to so many different
Yeah.
things.
Mhm.
And my daughter's like, "Dad, this is amazing out here. Like,
Yeah.
if you're bored, it's because of you,
Right.
right?"
Because there's always plenty to do.
Absolutely. She goes, "We
Yeah.
can't wait to come back and try some
Nice.
more different
Nice.
cuisine." Um, and we're really excited about, especially
Mhm.
our 3 and our 4 year old granddaughter,
Mhm.
the ability to embrace so many
Chores.
cultures,
Yeah.
and and, and everything about the culture,
Mhm.
the art, the food,
Yeah.
the
Music.
dance, the
Yeah. Yeah.
music, and we're really excited about
Nice.
that. I think it's incumbent upon us as parents and grandparents. The school has the school has a portion of the educational process,
Mhm.
but I think it's more incumbent upon us as the parents and the grandparents
Mhm.
to the, the to educate the kids as to
Hmm.
culture and
Yeah,
how to get along with people and
absolutely,
how to love
absolutely.
people and
Yeah.
embrace change
Hmm.
and different things that are
Hmm.
different than they are.
Yeah.
I love the fact that my granddaughters, they don't see anything other
Hmm.
than their friends.
Yeah.
They don't see
Yeah.
race. They don't
Hmm.
see
Yeah.
they just see people for what
People. Yeah.
that pure innocence.
Hmm.
And I want to enhance that by
Yeah.
embracing the culture here in
Yeah,
Rochester.
yeah. And I always like to ask that question because, a lot of times we don't realize how our stories are very similar,
Yeah,
right? My parents came here in the 1950s, for a better life.
absolutely.
My dad worked in the farms, and 6 months later, he sent to get my mom. And so then the rest of my siblings and I were born here, and we also had lots of Italian neighbors that my mom was able to communicate
Sure,
because, like you said, the language is very similar. And so, till this day, they have friends that have been their friends forever since they got
absolutely.
here back in the 50s. And so, but I also like to ask that question because a lot of people are not native here from
Sure,
Rochester, but choose Rochester as their home. And I like for the audience to hear that
sure.
and, appreciate where we live because sometimes you don't appreciate where you live. Like your daughter said, if you're bored, it's because you want to, right? And we're saying, oh, there's nothing to do in Rochester. There's plenty to do in
Oh my gosh,
Rochester. We
there's
just got to step out of our comfort
you've got to
zone.
step out of your comfort zone
Yeah, and
and
go.
just go see,
Yeah, yeah.
walk,
Yes,
just
yes.
walk around,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
And listen, are things absolutely perfect? No,
No,
things are never perfect anywhere.
anywhere. Yeah.
But if you walk down the street and you say
Hmm.
hello to someone, nine
Hmm.
times out of ten, hey, how are
Yeah,
you doing? Good. How are
yeah,
you?
yeah.
Um, it's interesting. My father came over from Italy for a better life.
Hmm.
He made it to the third grade, and his parents told him, "You're
Hmm.
smart enough,"
Yeah,
and they sent him to Switzerland until he was 19, carrying stone. And my
yeah,
dad learned how to be a stonemason,
yeah,
and the money he made was sent back to his
yeah,
family. He's
yeah,
one of 14
yeah.
brothers and sisters.
Yeah. And that's the story for many of us. My
Absolutely.
father did the same thing. He came first and then eventually he brought all of his other seven brothers and sisters here to Rochester and we've been here ever since, but very similar stories.
But I think
Um
that's how we honor them,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
By
absolutely.
making sure that our families
Mhm.
are good people,
Yeah.
to honor all the
Yeah.
hard work and
Yeah.
the strife and
Mhm.
the times that were really hard and
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Not and never to forget that
Yeah.
or to outdo what they did, but
Yeah.
to honor them.
Honor them. Absolutely.
I think it's
Absolutely.
imperative.
Yeah.
So interesting. Even though I was born in the United States, I couldn't speak English. I had to go to when I was in grade school. I had to go
Mhm.
to special education
Mm.
because my parents couldn't speak English.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everybody else is
Yeah. Yeah.
learning their ABCs, and I learned them in Italian.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
learned, how to say colors and
Mhm.
numbers in
Yeah.
Italian,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I got to
And
kindergarten.
you were embracing your primary language, and there's nothing wrong with that,
Well,
right?
to be honest with you, I didn't even realize I was embracing my primary language. But it's been such a blessing
Yeah.
because I'm fluent in
Yeah.
Italian.
Good.
Um,
Yeah.
but I had to learn,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, I had a time in my life. I was obviously in my early adolescent years
Mhm.
that I had an accent, and people would make fun of me,
Mm.
call me
Mm.
Luigi and other
Mhm.
names. So
Yeah.
I worked really hard to get
Mm.
rid of my broken English,
Yeah. Yeah.
which in hindsight I regret, but I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And now we're teaching my granddaughters
Mhm.
Italian. Like
Mhm.
every morning, we
Yeah.
call each other buongiorno, and at night, buonasera.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we want them to learn their
Yes.
language as well as
Absolutely.
other languages in school. We
Absolutely.
want them to really embrace
Yeah.
diversity and
Yeah.
culture, because it just makes us all better.
Yeah. It definitely does. So tell us a little bit about your career. How did you become the chief of police? I mean, the chief of fire department.
Well, that's a it's a it's a crazy story.
Mm.
Um, so this is my 39th year as a firefighter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Impressive.
I was not the greatest kid growing up because my parents had no idea. My parents
Hmm.
were working two jobs each to make a
They
living
did the
for us.
best they could.
They did the best they could, and I can't thank them enough. My mom's been gone 25 years.
Mm.
My dad's 89, and he's still my
Oh,
hero.
bless them.
Thank you.
Hmm.
So I would run the streets, and sometimes I didn't make the best choices of who I was hanging out with. And one of the last times I've got in trouble, the little local police chief said, "Listen, either I got to bring you to where you don't want to go, or going to bring you up to the local fire department. And I think I was like 19 years old,
Mm.
and I got into the volunteer fire department, and
Wow.
they took a shine to me and said,
Mhm.
well, you can't get in trouble here.
Mhm.
And I became a volunteer firefighter. And from there, I met my first wife. Um, I only have two. I met my first wife, and I moved to the next town over, Herkimer, and became what's called an on-call firefighter. So if they needed me,
Right.
they'd call me in.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
did that for a while, and then I became a career firefighter. But in the meantime, I went to school and I became a mechanical engineer.
Mm.
So my mom wanted me. She hated the fact that I wanted to be a firefighter because she was so afraid.
Afraid. Yeah.
Typical mom.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But she says, in case you get hurt, you can sit behind a desk
Mm.
and work. Use your
Mhm.
mind.
Mhm.
So I became a mechanical engineer, but I did everything. I designed fire trucks, did
Nice.
fire protection systems,
Mhm.
and then I got the opportunity to be a career firefighter. And I was a career firefighter in the village of Herkimer. My total time there was almost 28 years.
Wow.
And then there was an opportunity. I worked my way up from firefighter to deputy chief. And then there was an opportunity to be the fire chief of the city of Batavia.
Mm.
So in 2017, I interviewed for the position. I became the fire chief there for just about 5 years. And I really, really enjoyed it. I thought that's where I'm going to retire out, although I don't ever want to retire. I loved what I do. And the governor's office asked me to come work for them as the deputy state fire administrator, overseeing the Office of Fire Prevention and Control.
Mm. Mm.
So I went to work to Albany for about 3 years. And then this position in Rochester came open. And I'm like, holy cow, this is my dream,
Mm.
to be a metropolitan fire chief,
Mhm.
serve the third largest fire department in the state. Rochester Fire has such an amazing reputation.
Mhm.
My time in Batavia, I knew what the city of Rochester offered.
Mhm.
One of my dear friends was the former fire chief here. He just talked so highly about it. So I applied, and by the good graces of the creator above, I'm here.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
and I try to live every day as the fire chief as that's going to be my last one.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
want to do, I want to do as much as I can,
Mhm.
to make this department better than it already
Is
is,
yeah.
but moreover, to really enhance the quality of life
Yeah.
for everyone in this city,
Mhm.
especially those that are underrepresented, underserved. And I want to, my major goal as the fire chief is to provide access.
Yeah.
I want people to enjoy the career and the life that the fire department has given me,
Right.
to enjoy the camaraderie, the
Mhm.
friendships, the memories. So I'm working tirelessly to break down any doors to provide access,
Mm.
because access leads to inclusion,
Yeah.
inclusion leads to diversity, diversity leads us to being the best fire department available.
Right. Right. So tell me, what does being the fire chief compared to working with the New York Office of Fire Prevention and Control? Like, what's been the difference there? Like,
So, as the deputy state fire administrator, I was overseeing the state's special operations program, the technical rescue programs,
mm-hmm,
as well as all of the firefighters in the state, that being both volunteer, career, on call.
mm-hmm,
We set the training programs. We assist fire departments that don't have equipment or special talents, because they just don't have the resources. We would
mm-hmm,
come in and supplement them.
mm,
As the fire chief here, I oversee all of the fire life safety programs.
mm,
The department, 509 people, both sworn and civilian staff.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We have 15 fire stations. Um, I have a $63 million budget, and everything that happens, um, fire, rescues, emergency medical, that's what I'm in charge of
Yeah,
overseeing
yeah,
here. So there's a lot of similarities, but there's some differences.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
It gets me more where at the state level you're overseeing everyone. Here
mm-hmm.
I'm focusing just on the just the amazing people that make up Rochester Fire.
Yeah, yeah. Is there do you have a story where you may have been especially proud of as a firefighter
In my career or here
in
in
your
Rochester,
career, in your career?
um, it's so difficult to say I have one story,
Mm,
but I'll combine a few.
okay.
There is nothing greater than when somebody comes up to you and grabs your hand or
Mm,
grabs your shoulder and says,
mm,
"Thank you.
mm,
Thank you for what you did.
mhm,
You saved my dog. You saved my mom.
mhm.
You." And you don't, as firefighters, we don't look for accolades. We don't look for awards.
Right.
We don't look for thank yous. For me, comfort is going inside of a burning building. People are like, "Are you
You
crazy? Are you
crazy?
crazy?" I tell my dentist, I'd rather go into 1,000 burning buildings than to
Mm.
sit in this dentist chair.
Oh, jeez.
It's just so uncomfortable. I have white knuckles in the dentist
I don't
chair,
like either one.
right? I don't like going to the doctors. I
Yeah.
don't like going to the dentist. I
Mm,
don't like going to the eye doctor knowing
mm,
he's going to put those drops in my
mhm,
eyes and dilate my. I'm comfortable in a burning building.
mm,
I like being, and firefighters like being at their best when
mm,
people are at their worst
mm,
and they need help.
mm,
So for me, probably one of the most important or poignant stories. Um, it was a little boy in Batavia. Unfortunately, he was playing with some matches,
mm,
and he set his house on fire.
mhm,
And I'm overseeing the fire. My team in Batavia was doing a great job, and I turned out of the corner of my eye. There's this little guy sitting on the corner on the curb crying.
mm,
So I said to one of the officers, I said, "You've got command."
mhm,
And he looked, he goes, "Where are you going?" I go, "Don't worry about it. Just you got command." And I walked probably about 30, 40 feet, and the little boy had a blanket over him.
mm,
And I sat down with him and put my arm around him.
mhm,
And I go, "You scared?" He goes, "Yeah, yeah." And I go, "It's okay. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to cry. Even fire chiefs cry."
mm,
And he just needed, he knew he did wrong,
mm.
and he just needed a little bit of mercy and
Yeah,
grace.
yeah, yeah.
And unfortunately, somebody captured that photo, and the photo went viral.
Mm,
And it's not why I did it, and I'm not
right,
interested in. I
right.
don't talk about it
Mhm.
to have people. It was just. It was one of the most profound
It's
moments.
the right thing to do.
It was the right thing to
Yeah,
do. He just needed a little bit of mercy and
yeah,
grace. You know, unfortunately, we have a lot of juveniles that
yeah,
are
yeah,
want to experiment.
yeah.
Um,
And kids are curious. They don't realize
they
what they're
are.
doing, and definitely just a big mistake, right?
It was a huge
Yeah.
mistake, but listen, we all make mistakes,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Whether
Yeah.
it's we as individuals,
Yeah.
we as an organization, but they can't define us,
Right. Right.
right?
Yeah.
They it is a mark in time,
Mhm.
right? I think everybody deserves mercy and grace.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you think that's what makes a good firefighter?
I think compassion makes a good
Mm.
firefighter. Empathy makes a good firefighter.
Mm.
We're all going to be in a position. Firefighters, their houses catch on fire. They get involved in motor vehicle accidents.
Mhm.
Their family members have medical emergencies.
Yeah.
I always tell my guys, you want to pay it forward because you know it's money in the bank.
Yeah.
It's capital. It's
Yeah.
stock.
Mhm.
So when something happens to you, you receive in return what you put out there.
Right.
But
Right.
as a firefighter, you need to be compassionate,
Mm.
empathetic, sympathetic, and put yourself in that person's having the worst day of their life.
Yeah.
They're counting on you to be their
Mhm.
savior,
Mhm.
get them out of trouble, help them medically, whatever the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like you said earlier, grace and mercy,
Mercy and grace is
because
huge.
a lot of times those things happen because of a mistake, right? You fell asleep and you forgot the stove was on, or
Correct.
you had a cigarette in your hand and you fell
Correct.
asleep and you got a fire. A lot of these fires sometimes happen by accidents,
They
right?
do.
For things
They
that.
do. Majority of the fires are
Mhm.
accidental,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Some are natural causes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Unfortunately, we have a lot that as well that are incendiary, so,
Mhm. Right. Right.
intentional.
Yeah.
But I'll give you another example. Just recently, my rescue company and rescue company 11 and engine 17, they found a dog in the middle of the road,
Mm.
and they took the dog in and cleaned the dog up
Mhm.
and fed the dog and watered the dog and got
Mhm.
it over to one of the shelters here in the
Yeah.
city. They went above and beyond.
Mm.
That's the nice thing about Rochester Fire. My people show compassion,
Yeah.
empathy
Yeah.
to everybody and everything.
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
so proud of them for
Yeah.
doing that,
Yeah.
above and beyond the call.
Yeah. And they're usually the first responders.
We are.
You guys are the first ones to show up anywhere
We
when you
are.
call 911.
We are. Yeah,
You
because
know?
15 stations, our
Yeah.
average response time is anywhere from three to
Yeah.
five
Yep.
minutes.
Yep.
And then we work in concert with our
Yeah.
partners, the
Yep.
police,
Mhm.
the ambulance, and other
Yeah.
fire departments and other
Yep.
city agencies.
Mhm. Mhm. I just recently retired from being the director of Ibero's Early Childhood
Oh,
Services.
wow. Thank
So
you for
we,
what you did.
yep. So, whenever we would have an incident where either the alarm went off, right, that it wasn't a planned fire drill or
Hmm.
anything like that, and they would show up, they were always so kind and so, graceful with us too, right? I think I remember the first time it actually happened and I didn't know. I knew what started the fire drill, right? It was, I think, somebody popped some popcorn or something, and so I disalarmed the alarm, and they came and said, no, you got to wait for
Yeah.
us to come and check everything.
So,
So I learned, they
well,
would always
yeah.
teach me stuff too
But that's
because
the best
I didn't
part,
know
right?
about that,
So you
right?
disconnected the alarm or
Yeah.
undid the alarm system, so
Yeah.
it doesn't give us the opportunity to see,
See
okay,
what caused
what
it.
was the
Yeah.
cause?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it could be a
Yep.
malfunction,
Yep.
or oh no, it was this,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
instead, or
Yeah.
that's like when people, I had a fire, I put it out
Mhm.
myself, and they don't
Yep.
call the fire department, and
Yeah.
next, an hour later,
Yep.
their house is burning.
Right. Right.
Call the fire department. We're
Yes.
here to serve you.
Yeah. Yeah.
The city taxes
Mhm.
pays for that, and we go above and beyond, and we'll install smoke detectors,
Yep.
carbon
Yep.
monoxide
Oh yeah.
detectors.
Yes. Yes.
We'll inspect if you think you had a problem, you
Yeah.
heard a popping noise in your
Yeah.
outlet.
Yeah.
Let us,
Yeah.
we're the experts.
Absolutely. So I was glad that I learned that very early on because I was there for 19 years,
Oh
but I
wow.
learned that very early on. So I knew already that if it went off, we just go out and we just wait.
Yep.
Don't let anybody else in, and don't come and let
Absolutely.
us know exact. And it was nice because we did learn there were some things that at one point we needed something fixed because it was tripping the alarm, and
Sure.
so it was something electrical that needed to be fixed. So again, I felt like I learned a lot from them, and they were
Perfect.
always very helpful and always very
Wonderful.
kind. And I also know that they've come to our center and have taught our kids about fire safety
Absolutely. We're
and
big on community risk
yes,
reduction.
yes, and especially with young children because to have someone come in and actually put on all the gear
So they're not
that they
afraid.
use so that they're not afraid because kids tend to hide when there's a
They do when
fire.
so the natural
Yeah.
instinct, the
Mhm.
fight or flight,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
children don't know how to fight,
Yeah.
right? They don't have that
Yeah.
instinct yet.
Yeah.
So it's flight.
Yeah.
They'll hide in bathtubs,
Mhm.
hide under the bed,
Or in a closet.
hide in a closet,
Yes.
hide in a cabinetry.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then they see this individual with
Mhm.
all these funky colors and things hanging off
And
of
their
them,
things in their
and their
face and
self-contained
yeah.
breathing apparatus, making that
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
scary noise. So
Yeah.
we want children to not be afraid, and
Yeah.
that's why our community risk reduction
Mhm.
program
Mhm.
is so
Yep.
valuable. Um, and you can call us, and we'll come
Mhm.
do a program.
Mhm.
We want them. And the other thing it does, it starts to put in the back of their head that, hey, maybe I want to be a firefighter,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Listen, I don't mind setting the hook at at a young age,
Of course.
right?
Of
Set the
course.
hook because
Yeah.
we're looking for great people.
Yeah.
So the community risk reduction, the educational component, and the best part is, right, learning is defined as a
Mhm.
change in behavior.
Mhm. Mhm.
If we can change their behavior
Yes.
now and
Yes.
explain to them why candles are dangerous,
Mhm.
why cigarettes and cigarette
Mhm.
lighters,
Yes.
and to give them a healthy lifestyle,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
I'd like to think that Rochester Fire is contributing to their health and well-being
Yes.
as they're growing up.
Yes.
Maybe we're not mom or dad or grandma or grandpa
Mhm.
or aunt or
Mhm.
uncle, but we're like that crazy cousin,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
still throwing a little bit of love and
Hmm.
education.
Yes, absolutely. And we do a lot of training. We also do training with parents on fire safety,
Hmm.
and we actually ask them to create a fire plan
Yes.
in the event that there's a fire in their home and things like that. Because it's stuff that people just don't think about,
Or they forgot.
or they forgot, or really they don't. They just don't think about it. Like it's never going to happen to me, type of
Hmm.
thing,
Hmm.
And I know that part of fire is prevention, right?
Yes.
Preventing things from happening, knowing what to do in case of a fire, remaining calm, that type of thing, having a plan. And so we actually offer workshops to our parents on specifically on
That's
fire
wonderful.
safety, home safety in general. But we do ask them to do a fire plan because we feel that it's important. And the kids are practicing it at the school, so why not practice it at home as
So
well?
you bring up such an important point that we all focus on the children,
Mhm.
but we fail to focus on the parents.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and I can tell you, majority of fires that we have, the first thing people say is, "I can't believe this happened to me."
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'll share a really personal story.
Mhm.
My daughter was going to make her first communion, and my wife and I are sitting on the couch having a cup of coffee before we had to get ready to get her
Mhm.
dressed for
Mhm.
first communion. And my wife says to me, "Steve, I smell something burning." I go,
Mm.
"No, you don't." She goes, "I do." I go, "No, you don't." I go, "I'm the firefighter. I'm sitting here on the couch. There's nothing burning." So I go, "I don't smell anything burning." 3, 4 minutes later, beep, beep,
Uh-oh.
beep. Like, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
So I said, "Get everybody out of the house," because the two kids were still sleeping.
Mhm.
And I heard it from the basement.
Mm.
I run downstairs. My dryer's on fire.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Now we're
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
My dryer's on fire. So I went and get a fire extinguisher. One didn't work. The second one,
Uh-oh.
well, it worked, but it didn't put the fire out.
Right,
So
right.
I typical
Mhm.
firefighter, I got 3 or 4 in the house.
Right.
I went through all of them.
Mm.
I forgot to call 911. Thank God she called 911. So my
So
fire
your
department,
wife is the expert.
yeah, right. So my wife calls 911. My fire department shows up, and my one of my dearest friends, who was the deputy chief, goes, "What do you got?" I go, "I got a dryer fire." And he starts coming in with a fire extinguisher. I go,
Mhm.
"No, you're going to have to bring a hose line in." He goes, "For
Mhm.
a dryer fire?" He runs out. He comes, runs in, runs back out. He goes, "This thing is ripping."
Oh wow.
So it happens to
Yeah.
fire
Yeah. Yeah.
professionals as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
But I was taken aback, like, why did I not listen to her?
Right. Right.
She smelled something that I didn't
Yeah.
smell,
Yeah.
right? So it's important to train the parents as
Yeah.
well. So, and we can
Yeah.
help you with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So, what are the benefits of being a firefighter? Why would someone want to take this on as a
Oof,
career?
there are so many.
Mhm.
The first is the civic mindedness to serve your
Mm.
community.
Mhm. Mhm.
Number one,
Yeah.
to be at your absolute best when someone's having their absolute worst day.
Mm.
The camaraderie, the friendships made, the training that we offer,
Mhm.
um, the the initial benefits. Um, the salary is a good, solid salary. The
Mm.
benefits are incredible benefits. The retirement,
Mm.
and then the lifelong friendships in retirement
Mhm.
that you make.
Yeah.
Um, but again, and those are all great. I mean, we all need finances. We need
Mhm.
health
Right. Right.
insurance. We
Right.
need
Yeah.
benefits.
Yeah.
Those are basic inherent rights. Good working
Mhm.
wage, living
Yeah.
wage.
Yeah.
You'll get all that as a firefighter, but what you'll get is the difference to make. You'll have hundreds, if not thousands, of opportunities to make a difference in
Mm.
someone's life.
Yeah.
To make someone, the greatest gift that you can give someone as a firefighter is to hold their hand while they're
Mm.
in trouble. They
Mhm.
can feel your
Yeah.
goodness and your compassion
Yeah.
through their
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah.
Those are some of the greatest
Yeah.
benefits, and then make a difference in your community.
Right.
Right,
Right.
to make a difference, keep your community safe.
Mhm.
Right, be a role model, be an inspiration. you know my two kids, one is 20, going to be 27, and one is 30, going to be 31. And I like to think that, they have said to me, but I like to think that they're good people because of both, you know all of everybody that's been in their lives. But
Yeah.
they grew up in a firehouse family.
Mhm.
We were just visiting one yesterday. As I said, my grandkids were in town, and
Mhm.
we stopped to visit Engine 12 yesterday.
Mhm.
My grandkids got in the vehicles, and the guys were like, "You get to
Yeah.
make a difference,
Yeah.
and in so many
Yeah.
ways."
I've never been in a fire per se, but I can't even imagine you being in a fire and someone extending their hand to help you out of that fire.
Carry you,
Right. Yeah.
drag
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it's not pretty, but we're gonna
Right,
get you
right,
out.
right, right. Like
It's
I can just,
it's not what you
imagine
see
what
on
that
TV.
feeling would be,
Yeah,
to have someone come and rescue you. Like
it's an amazing feeling
yeah,
for both the victim and the rescuer.
yeah, yeah.
To hear the weakest cry or
Mhm.
moan
Mm,
or yell,
yeah.
and then to find that person because
Person.
you're
Yeah.
going into a building with superheated air,
Wow.
100% obscured
Yeah.
vision, and to use your senses of sound and touch to
Mhm.
search, clear a room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that sense of rescue alone is just, just like
Wow.
whoa.
Yeah. It's pretty powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is when you think about it. Sure. So, how does someone become a firefighter here in Rochester?
Well, that's a great question. So, we are working on a number of access points.
Mhm.
If you're in high school, you
Mm.
can apply
Mm.
for the trainee program.
Oh, nice.
Yep, which is
Okay.
fantastic.
Mhm.
Then we have summer internship programs.
Mm.
But for the general layperson, you would start off by taking a civil service exam.
Okay.
And then the civil service exam, you'll take a physical, a medical physical.
Mhm.
You'll take a physical agility test, and just you're scored.
What's a physical agility test?
The
What is that?
physical agility test is nothing that's over the top, but it's just how to see what your physicality is. Unfortunately, the job is a very physical job, and you got to
Mhm.
be physically capable of doing the
Right.
job. There's some running,
Lifting.
pushing,
Yeah.
pulling. It's the
Mhm.
five basic principles of
Mhm.
fire that we
Okay.
do in the fire department: push, pull, lift, twist, and bend.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
exercises
Yeah.
determined to that.
Okay.
Um, and you take that, the medical, the civil service test. Um, we just started an academy here 3 weeks ago. We picked the civil service processes in the top three.
Mhm.
We'll do a background check to ensure your residency, that
Right.
you are actually living in the city of
Yeah.
Rochester.
Yeah.
We'll do a background check with the police department to make sure that you're a good
Right.
candidate,
Right.
because we're people are going to trust you,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
we have to make sure you have a solid background.
Right. Right.
Um, but we're always open to great new candidates.
Mhm.
Again, we're looking to increase access, which includes inclusion, and
Yeah.
which then leads again to diversity.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're looking at starting some programs, increasing our recruitment, our retention, how to become a firefighter, some training programs, things of that nature. I'm working on with
Yeah.
my staffing and my community risk reduction group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the civil exam because I know sometimes that puts people off a little bit, and
It yes, it can.
and
It can.
what's the average score that people can get to
Well,
be on the top 10 or
I
the top 3?
so the civil service exam is a civil service process. It is a general information, general knowledge exam.
Mhm.
Some reading comprehension, um, things of that nature. It is nothing to do with firefighting.
Okay.
It is not. You have to study to be a firefighter to take the exam.
Right.
It's just general knowledge.
Okay.
Um, and that's it there. The scoring bands. I think the scoring band for this class, we were 100, 95, 90 in the 85s.
Okay.
And then, the scoring bands uh, go down to the passing grade of a 70.
Yeah.
But the test is just a general knowledge.
Okay.
Um, there's study books at the
Okay.
library
Oh,
that
okay.
you can get them at a bookstore.
Mhm.
There's putting sentences in order, reading a paragraph, finding the main topic.
Gotcha. So
Fire.
a lot of things you do in high school.
Absolutely,
Yeah. Okay.
absolutely. It's designed
Yeah.
exactly after
Okay.
for like a high
So
school.
hopefully you paid attention when you were in
Well,
school.
but even if you didn't, there's classes available.
Okay.
The books are
Okay. So people
available.
people can prepare for it.
Yes, and
Yeah.
it is my hope in the near future to have some pre-test classes. That's
Mm-hmm.
something I'd like to
Yeah.
work on.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's on one of my agenda
Yeah.
items. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe some practice ones that people can
Some
take.
practice ones,
Yeah.
again, those are in the books.
Okay.
You can go on to New York State
Mm-hmm.
Civil Service, their
Mm-hmm.
website. They have practice exams.
Yeah.
They have the exams that do a few questions,
Mm-hmm.
and they teach you how to answer the questions.
Yeah.
And then if you got the question wrong, why you got the question wrong.
Right. Right. Gotcha. Is there an age limit as to when you can get into fire?
No,
No.
no.
So you can at any point in your life, if you want to
Right
decide,
now,
I want to be a
yeah, yeah.
firefighter, I could do
I
that.
believe there isn't the age restrict. There used to be
Okay.
an age restriction. Then they took it away. They put it back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe there's an age restriction at this time.
The only thing that might keep
Is
you
the
back
physical
is the
side.
physical
Yeah,
part.
yeah, yeah. Obviously we want
Because I
people to be.
can't bend and twist like I used to.
Neither can I. Thank God for Tylenol.
Yeah, right, right, exactly, exactly. Wow. Yeah, that's because I know a lot of people talk about it, and I know that sometimes a test creates anxiety
It
for
does.
most people, anyways, regardless,
That's for
right?
me.
No matter how smart you are, and so sometimes
I have
that
test
keeps
anxiety,
people.
all my
Yeah,
promotional
yeah,
exams, and by
yeah,
God's good
yeah,
graces, again,
yeah.
I always didn't score number one, but the way to get rid of the anxiety is to take the exams.
Yeah,
And people are like, well,
right.
the fire exam's only offered once every 3 years.
Hmm.
Well, that doesn't preclude you from taking other exams,
Right, right,
because the civil service exam, whether you take it to be a custodial
right,
exam,
right.
a firefighter,
Yeah.
a water treatment
Mhm.
plant,
Mhm.
um, a whatever,
Yeah.
the baseline questions are the same.
Yeah.
And now that they waived all the fees,
Mhm.
you could take 3 or 4 a year.
Mm.
I mean, I had to take the exam 4 different times before I got hired,
Mm. Mhm.
and you have to
Mhm.
be patient,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because the jobs may not be there.
Right.
But if
Right.
you take the exams, I took the water treatment plant, I took the police officer, I took the
Mhm.
custodial, I took, oh my God,
So you had a lot of
I
practice.
did. I took a ton of them, a lot of practice,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what I recommend to everybody.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So how do people advance? Like once you become a firefighter, let's say, like yourself, you've been there for a couple of years, you want to move on to something higher. How does that work? How do people get promoted?
So they have to take another civil service
Okay.
exam.
Okay.
So after X amount of time as a firefighter,
Mhm.
you can sit for the promotional exam for lieutenant.
Mhm.
And again, you've got to score in the top three.
Mhm.
I'm very proud to say my first 5 months, I promoted over 22 people. And then you will sit for an interview. I look at your resume, I
Mhm.
look at your cover letter, resume, your test score, and the personal connection
Yeah. Yeah.
you and I are having that
Mhm.
interview.
Mhm.
Um, and that's how you get promoted. But
Mm.
again, it's an exam process.
Yeah.
It's a competitive exam.
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
some people want to promote up, some people don't.
Mhm.
Um, we try to, I make it completely objective.
Mhm.
It can't be subjective.
Right. Right. Right.
Geez, you and I go back a long way. Your son is on the job.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Yeah,
does. Yeah.
no,
No.
no, because that's not fair. It's
Right.
not
Right.
fair.
Exactly. Yeah.
I judge everybody by the same
Yeah.
criterion,
Mhm.
and we make the best judgment,
Yeah.
and they go on a probationary period.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's the process from
Mm.
firefighter to lieutenant, lieutenant to captain, captain to battalion chief, battalion
Mm.
chief to deputy chief.
Oh, there's a lot of.
Oh, there's a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool. What if you want to work for the fire department, but you don't necessarily want to be a firefighter?
that's a great question. So I believe 25 civilian staff
Mm.
right now,
Okay.
from clerks to senior clerks to parts and inventory managers
Mm.
to EMS specialists.
Okay.
Our EMS, or excuse me, our civilian staffers are just as valuable,
Mhm.
and you could find those positions on the city's website
Mm.
when they do become available. I have mechanics.
Mhm.
Um, my gosh, I have a superintendent of the maintenance shop, clerks, secretaries. My God,
Yeah. Cool.
um, I should have brought that list with me. I apologize
That's okay.
because I'm using this as a
Yeah.
recruitment tool in
Yeah.
case you haven't
Yeah.
noticed.
Yeah. 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 Of
Um,
course.
we have the 25 just great civilian
Mhm.
staffers. I have one of my civilian staffers. I just celebrated. Shout out to Margaret. 55 years
Oh
with Rochester
wow,
Fire,
nice.
and she's an
Wow, her whole almost her whole life.
almost her whole life
Yeah.
in the planning and research, and she doesn't look a day over 29.
Oh wow,
She's
awesome,
amazing.
awesome.
She she's the one I worry about.
Yeah.
If Margaret's not happy, then Chief
Uh oh.
Napolitano's a little
Uh
worried. I have data analysts.
oh. Margaret's the real chief.
Margaret's the real chief. Her and my secretary Jennifer. I tell
They
them
usually are.
they're the real chiefs. I'm just the guy that gets to wear the
Yeah,
uniform. They tell me what to do and where to
yeah.
go.
There you go.
Um, I have a data analyst.
Okay.
I like I said, my civilian staff
Yeah.
is so critical
Yeah. Yeah.
to our line
Hmm.
operations.
Yeah. So if people are interested, like, what do they have to do?
Well, the same thing. It would be a civil service process, like an
Mm-hmm.
open competitive exam,
Mm-hmm.
or you could get hired provisional and then have to take the civil service test. But the best thing to do is follow the human resource section of the
Mm-hmm.
city of Rochester city webpage.
Mm-hmm.
But there's amazing jobs throughout the city of Rochester.
Yeah.
Uh, I know I sound a little bit like a broken record, no pun intended, at a radio
Mm-hmm.
station.
No, of course.
Um, the city to work for the city of Rochester is incredible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a great city to
Yeah.
work for. Mayor Evans does a great job. All the department heads, Dr. Rose Nichols, who runs
Mm-hmm.
our human resource department, is amazing with her staff. Um, there's jobs all over,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Although we'll take you at the fire department first.
Yeah. Yeah. So if there was a young person listening, what would you say to them? And I know this is, we want to recruit
Yep.
folks to apply for
Hmm.
these type of jobs. So what would you say to that young person?
So you had asked me a question at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna use that here, but I
Mm-hmm.
have a second one.
Okay. Okay.
Kind of speaking cryptically.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't ask,
Mm,
if you don't try,
mm,
it's an automatic no.
okay.
My dad taught me that really early,
I like that.
right? He goes,
Mm-hmm.
Steve, if you don't ask me, you think I'm going to say no, and you don't ask me, then it's an automatic no. He goes,
Right.
earn your no.
Mm, mm,
He goes,
mm.
I may surprise you,
You're right.
right? I may tell you yes, or I may tell you maybe.
Mm-hmm.
In
Mm-hmm.
my book, though, maybe was a no, but so my dad would always say, ask,
Mm-hmm.
try, apply.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would tell young people.
Mm-hmm.
You have there's not a young person that's not running around with a phone in their hand
Mm-hmm.
or doesn't have access to one of our amazing city libraries
Right.
that has full access
Mm-hmm.
to online information.
Mm-hmm.
Go online, take a look at what jobs are there, apply, take the civil service test. If you do terrible on the first time you take a civil service test, so what? Now you know what to expect.
Right. Right.
They don't change them.
And be prepared for the next one.
Exactly. Get the reps in, right? If you like to go lift at a gym because you want bigger arms or a
Mm-hmm.
bigger chest, you don't do it one time. You got to go in there
Right.
and lift the
Yeah.
weights over and over.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you see a change.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. Take the tests, study. That's the best way. And apply. Put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And if you want a job in the fire department, there's no reason why you can't get a job in another city department, get into the city of Rochester, and then transfer
Right.
and go through that process. There's
Mhm.
a ton of different ways,
Yeah.
you know. But if you don't ask, it's an automatic no. If you don't try, it's an automatic
Right.
no.
Right. Right. Yeah. Definitely. I'm just trying to think of the schools because I know you mentioned, you're trying to do things with high school. So if a high school is listening, let's say a principal or, an administrator from a high school is listening, you know, what do they have to do in order to bring you guys in and have,
Just make contact with us.
okay.
Reach out to
Yeah.
us. One of my community risk reduction specialists
Mhm.
is firefighter Santos Cruz,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and he will make the connection.
Yeah.
Poor Santos, he's constantly running. He's going school to event
Yes.
to event.
He came to our center and
Oh,
did a
yeah.
wonderful presentation with our
His
children.
passion
Yeah.
is second to none.
Yeah.
His passion is second to none.
Nice. Nice.
So he's the epitome of a Latino firefighter,
Yeah.
right? He lives it. He
Yeah.
breathes it,
Yeah.
and he does a great job. So make
Yeah.
contact with us, and Santos or some other guys may come.
Yeah. Mhm.
Excuse me, men and women may
Yes.
come.
Yes.
Um, and do a great presentation.
Let's talk about that a little bit with female firefighters because I know of a few that you guys have, but you know, are you looking to increase that
Always,
when it comes
always.
to?
My overall goal
Mm-hmm,
is to have us truly represent the city we serve. I want
mm-hmm,
our numbers in the fire
yeah,
department to mirror that.
yeah,
And that doesn't happen overnight. That happens, right? A journey of 500 steps starts
mm-hmm,
with step one.
yeah,
Um, my lady, my women firefighters are incredible.
mm,
The talent that they
mm-hmm,
have,
mm-hmm,
they meld right in with the gentlemen.
yeah,
Um, I have them on the rescue company. I have them in engine companies. I have them on truck companies.
mm-hmm,
They're dynamic.
mm-hmm,
They are dynamic. They're strong. They're powerful. They're independent. They are. They're just. I hate to separate them
mm-hmm,
because I don't want to, but I have to separate them because they're such a blessing to our department.
mm,
But they're just firefighters,
mm-hmm,
and they're the best.
mm-hmm.
They're the best with my
When it
team.
comes to their work, you can't tell the
You
difference.
can't tell the difference.
Right.
Again, we talked about that
Mm-hmm,
earlier, right? When
mm-hmm,
that little child sees a firefighter
mm-hmm,
in their gear,
yeah.
they can't tell if they're male or
Male or
female.
female,
They can't
exactly.
tell if
Yeah.
they're black or brown or
Brown. Yeah.
Latino or Latina.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a clue. All they know is someone's coming to rescue me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we want.
Yeah. Yeah.
We want to celebrate each of our firefighters for their diversity
Yeah.
and their individuality.
Mm-hmm.
But when the bell rings, we're a team,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, we just honored our because it was International
Mm-hmm.
Women's Day
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and man, my lady firefighters are just they're awesome.
Yeah. They look tough.
Um, I'll tell you what, um, I have no hesitation to go
Mm-hmm.
into any catastrophic event with them.
Yes. That's nice.
They're amazing.
Yeah. You know, our community is growing. You know, obviously we have more Latinos joining us here in the city of Rochester every day. New people are coming, from different places, from different walks of life. And so, when you talk about diversity, that's really important, right? Especially for us Latinos.
Sure.
We're very proud of Santos and many others that have been in the fire department. I know Anthony just moved to Florida.
Yeah,
He
Anthony
retired.
Nunez.
He
Yeah,
left to
yeah.
Florida, but he still has a connection here
Oh, he
in
sure does.
Rochester. He still works with us on the Northeast Safety Committee, which is another thing, right? That it's beyond them being firefighters. Both
Absolutely.
Santos and Anthony are examples of firefighters that are Latinos, but also have done a lot other work
Sure.
For our Latino community. They're part of the Northeast Safety Committee, which is a committee that we formed a couple of years ago, just to kind of help ease some of the troubles that we were seeing on the northeast of Clinton Avenue. And Santa works very closely with the baseball
With the little
league,
league, yeah.
and being able to service that age group.
Hmm.
And so it's beyond being a firefighter, right? And like you said, really serving your community. And I know that extra work that they're doing, right? That it's volunteer work because nobody's getting paid for what we do with the Northeast Safety Committee or with the baseball league. But these are things that they probably have learned from being a firefighter, how to service the community. What is it that the community need? And I know with both of them being part of this committee that we have, you know, we see we see how they bring what they know from the fire department to the service of
Hmm.
community,
Hmm.
right? And so it's beyond
Yeah.
just fighting fires, but just helping the community in general. And these two gentlemen just happen to be people that I know and that
Sure.
are firefighters and that serve the community in a very um, very helpful and very graceful way.
Well, let me give you another
Yeah.
example.
Mhm.
Recently promoted Captain Hector Lopez.
Mhm.
Uh,
Awesome. Yes.
Captain Lopez came off of a truck company, and now he's leading our recruit academy
Mm.
along with Deputy Chief Terry Taylor and
Mhm.
some other great
Yeah.
individuals there.
Yeah.
Here is Captain Lopez helping to create the
Yeah.
newest members
Mm.
of the Rochester
Yes.
Fire
Yeah.
Department, giving back to all the things that he got when
Right.
he was a young
Yes.
recruit,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
As we had this part of we talked about this early in the conversation. it's about honoring.
Mhm.
It's about honoring tradition,
Mhm.
excited about our past, but proud of our past, but
Yeah.
excited about our future,
Yeah.
right? And it's about giving access to people
Yeah.
and giving them the opportunity to make a difference,
Yeah.
right? Make a difference,
Mhm.
make a better life for you and your family,
Yeah.
make a better life for the generations that follow behind you,
Yeah.
but touching people in the community when they're at their absolute worst.
Right. Right. We didn't talk about this too much, but curious to what you have to say about it. We don't often hear, well, we rarely hear that we lost a firefighter in you know in duty, right,
Yeah.
when they're working. Tell us a little bit about that, because I know, you guys work really hard in training people, and you already know that you're walking into a dangerous and unsafe,
Yeah.
place, right,
Yeah.
when you're dealing with fire. Um, tell us a little bit about that. So for those people that are fearing, oh, I don't want to die in in the line of duty.
We don't either.
Yeah, and no one does, right? But tell us a little bit about that, because in
That's always in the
comparison
back of our head.
to other jobs,
You know.
like a police department
Well, they
compared
have
to
their own inherent
right,
dangers,
right,
right?
right.
They don't have the luxuries of. Um, let me put it this way: each profession has its own inherent dangers,
Mhm, mhm,
right? Um, I my youngest son, my youngest stepson, I got to clarify, just became a police officer,
mhm,
and his mom is just terribly worried,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
But he's comfortable going to serve.
mhm,
Um, as firefighters, we worry every day because we're going to go into what's called an IDLH environment,
mhm.
inherently dangerous to life and health.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
people think, well, you guys, if the building's not burning, it's not a bad job.
Mhm.
Well, we go on hazardous materials
Right,
calls,
right, exactly.
we go
Yeah.
on medical calls.
Yeah.
We're exposed to people with
Yeah.
all forms of sickness,
Mhm.
illnesses, diseases.
That's true.
Um, we've had medical providers get assaulted,
Mm.
right? We go to overdoses,
Mhm.
we go to traffic accidents,
Yeah.
um, we get exposed to blood, vomitus,
Mhm.
feces.
Mhm. Mhm.
We go inside burning buildings. Uh, Firefighters have been killed by claps,
Mm.
smoke inhalation,
Mm.
direct burns.
Mhm.
Um, we've had firefighters, just as we saw several years ago in Webster, get shot at,
Mm.
ambushed, and killed.
Mhm.
Um, people are like, well, you've got your fireproof suit on.
Mhm.
If you read the label, it says do not go near open flames.
Yeah.
It gives you about 30 seconds
Mm.
before it disintegrates on you.
Mm.
It is not fireproof.
Mm.
It's fire resistant for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So we're always worried, but our training, our education,
Mhm.
good command,
Mhm.
making informed decisions, we
Yeah.
try to keep firefighters out of harm's way.
Yeah.
You'll see sometimes that firefighters don't go directly in the building. They try
Mhm.
to darken the fire down from
Right.
the
Right.
outside so
Mhm.
they can make it a little bit more tenable to go inside,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
depends on what the life safety threat is.
Mhm.
Many firefighter has given up his or her life for someone else's,
Yeah.
right? Again, there's nothing greater than to be in the service of others.
Yeah.
And there is no greater love, as the Bible says, is to lay your life down for
Yeah.
your fellow man.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, yeah, it's something that's always in the back of our head, but we try to put engineered systems in place.
Right. Right.
Our self-contained breathing
Mhm.
apparatus, our turnout gear,
Mhm.
um, good command decisions.
Yeah.
Thank God for sprinklers. Thank
Yeah.
God for early smoke detector,
Mhm.
early notification systems,
Mhm.
smoke detectors, carbon
Yeah.
monoxide detector, things that help us find the fire, fire prevention, fire
Mhm.
education, things of that nature.
Yeah.
If we can prevent a fire from happening,
Mhm.
that's the best fire. No
Yeah.
fire.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
But we're always
Prevention is key.
prevention is key, but we're
Yeah.
always worried about that. And when we do lose a brother or a sister, it's
Mhm.
devastating.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is absolutely
Yeah.
devastating.
Yeah.
You don't forget it.
Right.
When we lose a citizen in a fire, through a fire,
Mm.
we take it personal.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do not forget.
Yeah.
And it's not. I remember my first rescue of a toddler, uh,
Mm.
or it's still an infant. It was
Mm.
about 2-year-old
Yeah.
baby.
Toddler. Mhm.
Um, I remember everything.
Mm.
I remember the
Mm.
onesie. I remember the smell. I
Mm.
remember, and that was
Mm.
many, many years
Wow.
ago.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't forget those things.
Yeah.
So we try to park it in a
Mhm.
spot that's
Yeah. Yeah.
but we have much better mental health programs now for
I was
firefighters.
gonna say, I was gonna ask about that. Like, how do you deal with that trauma? Because those are
Those are
traumatic, yeah,
traumatic. Those are
traumatic
traumatic events.
situations.
So we
Yeah.
try to deal with it with debriefings, mental health counseling.
Mhm.
Before they used to say just swallow it, bury it, don't worry
Mm.
about it.
Mhm.
We can't do that anymore.
Yeah. No.
So we work really hard with mental health professionals
Mhm.
to ensure our firefighters have that help that they need.
Yeah.
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 So thank you for asking about that because most people don't ever. Well, they're just doing their job.
Yeah.
No, no,
No.
no. There's a
Yeah.
lot to it. Just
Yeah.
like when a police officer has to be involved in something traumatic. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're yes, it's part of their
Yeah.
job, but it
Yeah.
still hurts.
I
It's
mean,
still
all
hard.
all first responders are,
Oh,
are
our
prone to,
EMTs
yeah,
who
are
see
prone to,
everything,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Our paramedics with
Mhm.
the medical services,
Mhm.
our firefighters, our
Mhm.
police
Mhm.
officers,
Yeah.
our counselors,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even like our DES workers when they find something they shouldn't find in the garbage truck, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Or they come across something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every career has those hard things to see,
Yeah.
so I
Absolutely.
just need people to be understanding and compassionate,
Yeah.
and it's more than a job.
Yeah.
It's more than a job. No matter what you do, it's more than a job.
Yeah. If someone needed information on maybe smoke detectors or carbon monoxide, which is huge, a lot of people don't
Yep.
realize how dangerous
311.
the
Call
okay.
311 right
Okay.
off the bat.
Yeah.
And 311's the clearinghouse, and we'll send a crew over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important for folks to know,
It's huge. Here's the interesting thing. People think, well, that's important for me to have a smoke detector or carbon monoxide detector. It's invaluable.
Mhm.
But do you realize we're putting my people in more of a safe way? Because now, if we catch the fire early
Mhm.
or the carbon monoxide sickness early,
Right.
we got a better chance of limiting your damage or
Yeah.
saving your life.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's huge for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So call 311 if you need a
Yeah.
carbon monoxide detector or smoke detector.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. The best thing is not to have to call you, right?
Exactly.
Because the prevention is there.
Absolutely. My guys don't like me saying that
Yeah.
because they all like to respond.
Yeah, but
But
yeah. Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
the, the more I can keep my people safe
Of course. And the community,
and the
and
community.
our city. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. So if people want to contact you, how can they do this, or the department, with any kind of information, whether it's they want to know more about the programs that you have available, how can they become part of these academies that you're starting?
Sure. On
Um,
our city website,
okay.
there's a page dedicated to the fire department.
Okay.
All of our contact information is there,
Okay.
and you'll reach out. There's like a general info email address.
Okay.
It's monitored every day.
Mhm.
Um, I'm always open, and I love to go out and talk to community groups. I
Yeah.
love to talk to schools.
Mhm.
Again, I have to give back.
Mhm.
I was not, like I told you, the best person growing up, and this is my opportunity. I always tell everybody when I stand in front of St. Peter,
Mhm.
he's going to look at me and say, "Why are you even
Yeah.
standing in my line?"
Yeah.
And I can say, "Wait, wait, wait, wait. Go to the middle of the book to the back because it reads a lot better." So I want to give back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't want to be cliche. I'm
Mhm.
not saying that because I'm on the radio. I believe in that.
Yeah.
The fire service has afforded me and my family
Mhm.
an amazing life,
Yeah.
and I want to give it back, and I want other people to experience the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to come out to
Yeah.
different events. I want to meet all my constituents.
Mhm.
It's a big city,
Yeah.
so
And you're fairly new, so there's still probably people you haven't contacted yet or been able to make
correct,
connections with. So this
correct.
is an opportunity
This is
for folks that want to get to know you, know more about
absolutely
your program and how to be a part of the fire department. This is
yes.
the time.
Yeah, and then we have, like I said, our community risk reduction, our
Mhm.
safety group.
Mhm.
My people love to show off our
Mhm. Yeah.
equipment. We're
Yeah.
really proud of our equipment. It's the community's equipment.
Mhm.
We are
Mhm.
the stewards of it. We get
Right,
to
right.
maintain it and
Right.
keep it.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Well, I really want to thank you for taking time out of
Thank
your
you.
busy schedule to be here with us today and to bring all this great information, about the fire department and all the things, all the great things that you guys are doing. I love your spirit. I love, your heart, where
Thank you.
your heart is. I can feel that
Thank
just
you.
by talking to you. So, kudos to whoever hired you, and and I'm looking forward to all the great things that you plan to bring here to the city of Rochester. And like you said, it's already a great department, and you're just going to make it better
So the
for
Boy
all of
Scouts
us.
have a saying: you always leave wherever you are a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And while I get to be the fire chief,
Yeah.
it's impossible for me to do it alone.
Right.
I'm
Right.
doing it with 509
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
They all have ownership.
Yeah.
So we're going to do it collectively. And there's days we're going to be better than other days,
Yeah.
and days we're going to fall, but we're going to dust ourselves
Yeah.
off. I refuse to let things that may have happened in the past
Mm-hmm.
define us.
Yeah.
But I can't thank you enough for your kind words and this
Yeah.
opportunity. Um, I whenever you'd like me to come back,
Sure. Of
I
course.
this
You're
is
welcome anytime.
well, you've given me such a great platform to recruit,
Yes. No. Absolutely.
right?
And we want this. This is all. This is what this show is all about. Bringing information to our. One of the things that I say in Spanish is to, to improve the quality of life of everyone in our
Absolutely.
city, and so this is one way of doing that, right? So I like to end the show by asking if there's a phrase or a saying that you grew up with that still resonates with you today.
So it's a two-part phrase. My dad and my mom, very proud immigrants,
Mm-hmm.
worked like dogs to give my sister and I a good
Mm-hmm.
life. My father would say to me, "You come in with nothing
Mm-hmm.
and you leave with nothing. What you get is the name I give you in between.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Don't do anything to embarrass your name."
Mm,
And then
mm,
he said to me, "Remember, what you do in life echoes in eternity."
mm. Wow. Mm,
So I live with that every day.
yes.
I live
Yes.
with that every day. I want to make my dad proud. I'm proud
Mm,
of the Napolitano name.
mm-hmm.
I want my kids to understand that.
Yeah.
And I am worried about what
Yeah.
I do in life because
Yeah.
it echoes in
Yeah.
eternity. And it doesn't have to be the afterlife.
Right.
When I leave here and I
Mm-hmm.
retire from the city of Rochester,
Mm-hmm.
are people going to say he was a good fire chief? He did love the community.
Mm-hmm.
I, I just want to do the right thing. I'm not looking
Right.
for the plaque or
Right. Right.
the award.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm looking to say, hey, I made a difference in Rochester.
Yeah. Great legacy to leave behind. Absolutely.
And I have the greatest people to take over. So,
Right. Right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. We
gracias.
really appreciate it. Gracias a todos por acompañarnos en esta mañana. Lo esperamos nuevamente el próximo sábado de 10 a 11 de la mañana en Poder 97.1 FM, la única estación radial latina con dueños y operados por latinos, por la comunidad, para la comunidad. Esto ha sido su hora informativa, trayendo la información importante que nos inspira a una mejor calidad de vida. Que pasen una linda semana. Hasta la próxima, mi gente.